after what you guys saw, Zach, how about you go first?
Expected.
I mean, would that be your one word?
They picked up where they left off. Actually, it's not my one word. I want to save that, but it's close. I mean, this team picked up where they left off, and they didn't improve. They did all the same things they did last year, failing to score early, I should say. They end up falling behind. They end up coming down to the last possession. A lot of NFL games do, but the Texans just seem to always be in these low-scoring end of the game, needing that last possession to be able to win and just not being able to convert.
And disappointing given that we had a new-look offensive line, we as in Houston, and also having a new offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's same old, kind of sort of around the same thing that Zach was saying, right? I think, look, it's only week 1, right? So that's like the positive side of it. Even the Kansas City Chiefs started the season with an 0-1 record, right? But when you look the same that you did for mostly of last season, then it's maybe not even that much of a silver lining just to say it's only week 1. There's a lot of football left to be played. I said it last week when we talked about the offensive line. I think you are who you are, and in boxing they always say you are who you are in your last fight, right? You're just as good as your last fight. This is next week going to be their last fight. Their last fight was last season, so they look the same. I don't know that the Texans, there's a lot of room for improvement because they have the pieces that they're going to have for the entire year. So
we are hoping to hear from DeMeco Ryans very soon via the post-game press conference feed. Zach has a word. I have a word. Do you want to go first while Luis writes down his word? And of
Why
course,
not?
Please, we're on the Facebook page, so if you have a word, you want to contribute, go to our KHOU 11 Facebook page. And of course, this doesn't happen without your involvement, so please get involved. Zach?
Those should be good, those words from the viewers.
Yeah.
My word is typical because that's what this game was. It was very emblematic of last year. We're going to continue to say that. We'll be talking about this all this week. It's typical.
I'm going to say rerun. It is a rerun, given that the 2025 Texans, for a while, seem to be dressed like the 2024 Texans. I know Halloween is a month and a half away, but this is not what you wanted to see. And then to have some of the penalties, and then to have the shuffling along the offensive line due to injuries.
It's a good one.
It's like a Charlie Brown word.
Sigh, man. Just
typical
rerun.
You had high hopes. You thought the Texans were going to win this game.
It was a winnable game.
Without a doubt. No, it was definitely a winnable game.
A winnable game, but it's the same thing over and over. If the Texans, what did DeMeco Ryan say last year?
Something about Texans beating Texans.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So the Texans don't beat themselves. They don't put themselves in positions like what Zack talked about earlier, where they're always in that, final minutes of the game. They need that one big play, and there they were today, 2-minute mark, right? And then Dario Gomboale unfortunately fumbles the ball, and that's game over.
I looked that up. They mentioned it on the broadcast. That was only the second fumble of his career. I looked it up. His first fumble, or his last fumble, happened all the way back in 2019, December, when he was a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I would also argue that, yes, this was a winnable game, but really the Texans were in that position because of a mistake made by the Rams, the roughing the passer, which really helped them. Again, when you look at the numbers, their offensive plays, they, let's see here. Yards per play, 4.6 to 5.2. The Texans had 265 yards of total offense. The Rams had 296. What really you look at is the penalties. 11 penalties for 80 yards. And again, that goes to your word, and that goes to your word, and that goes to this word. Justin is weighing in. This is a good one. Undisciplined.
Yeah, that's good.
And how many times did we hear that word last season?
You hate to say, you don't want to think that that's a hallmark of DeMeco Ryan's teams in during his tenure here in Houston, but we've seen a lot of undisciplined play and a lot of penalties. And listen, any head coach will tell you it should start and stop with them when it comes to penalties and undisciplined play. So Justin says undisciplined. Mario's saying they need to open up the passing game more. That's going to be hard when you don't have much of a running game and your offensive line is in flux again.
And CJ's has no time this year again. It all starts there, doesn't it?
Yeah, he was 3 sacks, was it?
D'Amico said he's sick of talking about the offensive line, right, this week?
Guess what?
So are we.
Well, guess what? Week 2, we're still going to be talking about the offensive line because Jake Andrews did not return the center, so there's a chance that he might not be ready for this next game, the home opener. Cam Robinson did come back. I believe they mentioned cramping was the issue with Cam Robinson. And Blake Fisher comes in and did not go well.
Bad penalty.
So, you're talking, and I didn't break these down, the number of offensive line penalties, but
which it wasn't a lot on the offensive line. It was just all overall, right? But
Justin brings up Nick Chubb turned it on, was in a rhythm at the end of the game. That's a good point. That's a good point. Took him out, and then they collapsed.
There's no question about that. But think about this. Who was the person that was the Band-Aid for the Texans offense last season? Joe Mixon. So you have 2 running backs that, we've only seen Nick Chubb through 1 game so far, but he puts out a good performance. He's kind of the Band-Aid for the Texans offense today, the positive side of it. But if you look at everything else, there wasn't much positive to take from this offense. Some decent completions. They moved the ball a couple times, okay. But again, the roughing the passer penalty, really the only reason they're in it at the end. This team really had no business winning this game.
But let's give the Rams some. I mean, the Rams have a really good front whatever they run. I forget what they run, but they have a really good defensive line, and they're a good defensive team. So, I mean,
look, one thing, going back to your point, D'Amico Ryans at halftime, he did say in the interview at halftime before walking off into the locker room, they were moving the ball well. They just couldn't, once they got to 3rd down or once they got to that final play, they couldn't convert anything. It was
And that seems to be what?
Right.
What's your word?
Right.
Typical. One of the worst red zone offenses in the NFL last season.
They were 0 for 1 in the red zone in this game. Stroud was 19 of 27 for 188 yards and 1 interception, sacked 3 times, 37 yards lost.
I mean, 52 sacks last year, 3 already in the first game.
Yep.
So we'll see if they can improve the protection. Obviously, that was one of the questions I asked you guys as we were watching the game, right? Are you thinking, okay, is this on Nick Haley? Maybe, first-time play caller, the lack of experience.
I thought he was okay.
Right. There was points where they moved the ball pretty well, but then it got just stuck, right? Where the guys, they stagnant, where they needed to convert a big play to get a first down, not have to punt, and they just weren't able to do it. They weren't able to make it happen. So, also, when you talk about the defense, the secondary, I thought we talked about the secondary during training camp that they were going to be, Kalen Bullock looking so good. You already knew Derek Stingley was an All-Pro last year. Kamara Lassiter maybe a position to also become a Pro Bowl this year. They got carved up, man.
Puka Nacua? It's so funny you mentioned that.
Carved up.
I was just looking at these targets and receptions. Puka Nacua was targeted 11 times. He caught 10 balls for 130 yards. Devontae Adams was targeted 8 times. He caught 4 balls for 51. Xavier Smith had the touchdown, and then also let's see, Davis Allen, the tight end, also had a touchdown. Xavier Smith did not have a touchdown. I'm sorry, he had 1 target here, but he had the long play of 36 yards.
That big,
so I take that back. Yeah. But who is the go-to guy? Who's the big money man in the Texans wide receiver room? It's number 12. Nico Collins was targeted 5 times. He caught 3 balls for 25 yards.
That 1st and 15 pass that they threw to him on that last drive of the game was about 4 yards. Yeah. I mean, at some point, you need to go to your big play guys to make big plays. And to your point about the defense, how many times last season did we hear D'Amico say, we got to limit the explosive plays. We got to limit the explosive plays. That's the Rams destroyed the Texans secondary today on chunk explosive plays.
And we have another one word coming in from Steven who says, Disappointing, which I've written down here. Justin adding more here. He says it seems like D'Amico only cares about making the defensive line better. Fans were worried that they didn't do much to the O-line. That also goes into Nick Caserio in the front office. Justin also says, I think the offense was moving, but if you're going to get 10-plus penalties a game, that kills drives without a doubt. And again, that is a rerun from last year. That is a typical from last year, and that makes Luis sigh.
That makes Texans fans sigh. Everybody, it's frustrating to watch. Whether you have a dog in the fight or not, it's just frustrating football.
These words are pretty mild, I'm not going to lie, compared to what I thought Texans fans would be feeling, considering you sat through an entire season last year where your team struggled offensively, and they're showing all the same signs after what was supposed to be an offseason of improvement.
And here's the thing about a first game. A first game is almost, to take an analogy or use an analogy from the college game, it's almost like a bowl game. You have 2 weeks to prepare. You have 2 weeks to prepare, and you come out and undisciplined, disappointing, but you 9 points, and you commit 10 penalties.
Please, okay, we need like a sound effect or something, because
Yes.
Typical
Excuse
sigh.
me, 11 penalties. 11 penalties. And the Texans, they held the ball for 31 minutes and 25 seconds. They led the possession game by roughly 3 minutes. Red zone,
So
0 for 1, and then you had the Rams, 2 of 3, and that was also one of the huge stories of this game. When you look at the final score, red zone play, Texans barely got there. Rams cashed in when they were there.
if I can toss it up for debate, where would you put the blame on, or the fault? Who would you fault? Would it be the defense, that they weren't able to stop the Rams offense? Would it be the offensive line allowing 3 sacks, not giving CJ much time? Or would you blame it on the offense, on offensive play calling, the scheme, not just being able to be a powerful offense?
Well, I mean, you only give up 14 total points. Okay?
Right,
So
which
that's
Jason brought up earlier.
So that's really good. I mean, you only
It
give
is,
up
but
14
is
total
it masked? Is it masked? Because I just talked about the secondary being carved up, and you look at when Puka Nacua puts up 120-something, over 120-something yards by himself. They didn't score more.
I mean, it's close to being 21, right? Unless Azeez Al-Shire doesn't
Right.
cause that fumble. So it's close to being 21, which I get, but still, I mean, if you're giving up around 20 points a game, that's pretty good in the NFL. That's your offense should be able to score more, and this is what happened to the Texans almost all of last season, right? We saw their defense hold their own. I mean, yes, the secondary got carved up today, but ultimately it was kind of a bend, don't break performance. They give up the 14 points. Your offense should be able to score more than 9 points in the game.
Miguel says blame it on everyone, and I think that there's some.
Yeah, there's.
I think that's a pretty good comment. I think that there's enough blame to go around.
Yeah.
We also have Lars with a very simple word, frustrating. That is going on the board. Justin says Kaimi will be the Texans' offense yet another year.
There you go.
I think this might also just prove how important Joe Mixon is to the Texans. Because when he's in there, I'm not saying it's guaranteed to be a better offensive unit, more productive. But when he's in there, it seems to be a better offensive unit and more productive. And that's a huge loss. Because look at what Mixon has done when he's played. And the way he's able to not only run the ball, catch the ball out of the backfield. Nick Chubb was pretty good.
I like what I saw from him today.
He's not.
But Dameon Pierce, come on, man.
He's not as dynamic though.
Correct.
As Joe Mixon. He's not the pass catcher. We saw that a number of times today, where it looks like they targeted Chubb on those short passes to the running back, and he was maybe a step or two behind. He's just not that guy.
Right.
He's not that guy. But still, he did a great job today. And it's twofold when you lose Joe Mixon, because not only do you lose Joe Mixon, but you lose the fact that maybe Nick Chubb comes in fresh and is backing him up throughout the game. Instead, you have Dameon Pierce, who struggled mightily today. And who knows how many more chances Dameon Pierce is going to get.
And you talked about
he didn't really do much after a couple of plays, or at least one play, so he might not be in the plans moving forward.
And look, you talk about if you do have Joe Mixon, then Nick Chubb comes in fresh,
right,
to back him up. That's the reason why he went out and Dario Gombowale came in those final plays, because you saw him, Nick Chubb. They ran the ball about 4 times back to back because he was having success. He got a couple of first downs, and then you saw him on the sideline drinking some water because he was gassed. And we got to think about that. He's also coming off, injury, so might not be at 100% maybe, but it's tough when you don't, like Jason said earlier, you don't have the running game to start open things up. Then the passing game is not going to be there either.
Yeah.
Also, Williams is checking in. Serafina says hello. Justin says, counting on Kaimi to make 50-plus yard kicks every game to keep you in games is crazy. It is.
It's crazy
it's
when
insane.
That's the bulk of your offense. It's not. You're not saying, hey, Kaimi, we need you to make this kick to just put us ahead at a critical moment.
Give us a cushion.
Or something like that. It's like, Kaimi, no, like you're the bulk of the
need to
offense,
cut the lead.
right? We might score 1 touchdown. But what's crazy is that's exactly what it was last season. It's like deja vu.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about last season when they won that first game, right, against the Colts. And D'Amico Ryans is saying, a win's a win, right? We don't care if it's ugly. And that was the narrative for probably through the first 4 weeks
We heard that a
of
lot.
last season, right? And now but you knew at that point, right? You're like, there's some signs of trouble here. Like things are not as, okay as everybody is making them seem. Yes, this team is winning, but they're struggling within those wins. And this is a continuation of that. But they played a good team today in the Rams that you're not going to get away with a lot of stuff that you would against lesser experienced teams.
But look, you're not going to get away with a lot of, like you just said, you're not going to get away with those type of things with a team that's more experienced. The thing is that now the Texans know that, okay, we can't commit the same type of mistakes over and over and over again. And so there's 2 things, right? They usually say, hey, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Well, when the Texans show you who they are, believe them, because this is who they are.
And that's what I'm curious to find out what the fans think about that. Because
Lupita just went like this. She said, I just clogged the Texans, huh?
Yeah.
I just clogged the Texans.
Yeah. and I mean, it's for good reason. I mean, I just really want to know if fans are continuing to have that optimism after you see a performance like today. I get it. It's the first game of the season. But how many weeks in a row are you going to keep saying that? Eventually, like you said, somebody shows you who they are.
This one is a tough one, I think, because I just look at the vibe around the newsroom here at KHOU 11 that it's almost like, same old Texans. And again, this is the start of a new year. This is supposed to be fresh and new and exciting, and the company line is we've been given CJ help. We've given him a new offensive line, and it was the same old, and that is just what's so frustrating. Justin says, what do the Texans need to do to not repeat themselves or be a repeat of themselves? For one, I think that they need to cut down on the penalties, for one, because those penalties are killers, and a lot of them come at the worst times. And number 2 is have some sort of protection, consistent protection for CJ Stroud.
You hit it on the nail.
I think those 2 things, if you're able to fix those 2 things, easier said than done.
Yeah.
Now you're looking at something.
I think one of the most frustrating things when you watch this team is that you have a quarterback who was the offensive rookie of the year. This guy can make every single throw. He keeps you in the game with his legs when he needs to. He's really one of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL. We saw him have a regression in terms of his statistics last season, but we all know that there's reasons beyond him that happened last season. Anybody who watches could tell you that that's the case. And it's like you have this window with these
contracts,
with this young quarterback who's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He already is. And it's like, how much time are you wasting, by continuing to play like this within this window of these great players that you have on this team?
Think about it. I mean, you can say what you want about Bill O'Brien, but Bill O'Brien went out and got himself a franchise left tackle because they had this magical beast at the time as known as Deshaun Watson. What have the Texans done to really invest in the offensive line other than the draft to give CJ the confidence, the personnel, the talent in front of him? Yes, Ariante Ursary is showing the signs of being a really good player, but he's only a rookie. Basically, you went out, and for the most part, you got guys off the streets. So say what you want about, yes, Tunsil and the false start penalties and things like that, but he is one of the best tackles and guys in the league, and at least you saw the commitment there from O'Brien and the Texans to do something about it. I don't know if we saw the same commitment this offseason. I think that is a very interesting take. That did this team really do enough to protect C.J. Stroud?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you trade Laramie Tunsil and you also let go of Kenyon Green, two guys that were starting, you have to kind of bring somebody back of that caliber, right?
Well, certainly,
you got to fill that void.
Certainly, Laramie Tunsil. Kenyon Green, obviously,
he regressed.
Of course,
he was a swing and a miss.
And
they invested in Blake Fisher, but unfortunately, at this point, it seems to be a swing and a miss.
The patchwork part of your team, with the exception
patchwork.
of running back,
which
that's a different case. That has to do with an injury because the fact that Joe Mixon isn't in the lineup and he's hurt. But the patchwork part of your team is literally the most important part of the team, right? Because you need to have protection up front to score points, or at least arguably the most important. You can't win games with just a fantastic defense. You just can't do it.
I do want to say, Justin says, so you guys think getting rid of Tunsil was a mistake. That's not what I'm saying. Tunsil, getting rid of him was justified, and it was needed and necessary. What I'm saying is Bill O'Brien made the move to bring in a Tunsil-type player, or a Tunsil player, whereas the Texans, knowing that they had so many issues on the offensive line, and I'm guessing they believe that the sum can be greater than its parts, but they went out and got themselves an all-pro guy or a guy who was on the verge of being an all-pro to help protect their most important investment. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying getting rid of Tunsil was not the right thing to do, or it was definitely the right thing to do. But that's all I'm just saying.
I'm curious. If Bobby Slowick watched this game, what's he thinking?
I don't know. We do have some D'Amico Ryans post-game. Do we have that good to go? All right, let's listen to D'Amico Ryans and what he had to say after this. This video is courtesy of the Houston Texans.
Control and if you stand up here and we're talking about negative plays, talking about going backwards, this is not what we talked about. Main thing offensively, wanted to stay on track, right? And we got some unfortunate penalties that put us behind the sticks and just put us in some really long third downs that we weren't not able to manage. So we have to clean up the penalties.
Did the Rams' initial drive in the third quarter, coming out from the locker room, did that alter what y'all wanted to do or tried to do, make from the adjustment standpoint, and after they scored, did that sort of alter anything? Because it looked like y'all stalled in the third quarter.
Yeah, well, they made some plays. We of course made adjustments there in the second half. They came out, they scored, they went down and scored on us. Not how we were expecting to come out. Like, we gotta stand up and make a play there, and they got us, and it goes back to us on defense. Main thing was just eye discipline. Right? We didn't play with great eye discipline, so they made plays when our eyes were not in the right spot. We're looking in the backfield, they're throwing the football. Guess what? Guy's going to be wide open. So that's things that we control, and that's the main thing about this game. Rams did a good job, but there are a lot of things that we control: penalties, eye discipline, just the urgency. We control all of that.
Coach, what made it so difficult when it came to defending against guys like Puka Nacua, especially the wide receiver core?
Yeah, Puka made some plays. I think Puka, he did a nice job today making some plays, and credit to him, he's a good player.
Can you talk about just how CJ played? I mean, I know ultimately you want to win, but there was a lot of talk about him having more control. He seemed to move the ball to various people. What do you think about him?
I thought CJ played really nice. He made some nice plays for us. Really, at the end of the half, I thought it was very impressive on the 2-minute drive to drive down and get us in field goal range. Him tucking the ball, running it, getting us in field goal range. Really heads-up play, smart play by him. Really managed the offense well, made some nice throws, and unfortunately, we came up short. He made some nice plays under pressure. And they got us on a few as well, but that happens. But I'm really proud of the way CJ played.
Coach, you talk about the next man up mentality all the time with your team. But how difficult is it for a quarterback like CJ Stroud, who has been playing with a certain group and got used to their tendencies, they've got used to his tendencies, and all of a sudden, all that becomes different because of the injuries and the things that you have to shuffle. Does that make it harder on him?
Not for me, Sarge. Injuries happen. Guys go down all the time. Like, do we not show up? Do we put the ball away and go home? Like, we compete. It doesn't matter who's out there, all right? Whatever the job is, whatever the assignment is called for, man, we're NFL players. You got to man up and be able to do your job. So we don't complain. We don't make excuses for guys having to be shuffled, injuries happening. You don't make excuses for that. That happens all across the league every year. It's just about, man, whoever steps up in that spot, like, how are you owning your opportunity, right, man? You should be thankful and grateful to have that opportunity to step in and show that you're ready for that challenge, you're ready for whatever takes place. And so no complaining, just keep pressing forward.
How would you assess how the defense played overall?
Yeah, the defense, I think overall, third down was not good enough for me. We had some opportunities to get off on third down, and they made plays, and we didn't. I think that's where kind of got out of hand for us there. One thing we talked about is tackling there on the fourth down play. We got a chance to stop them there, 4th and 1 on their goal line. We're in good position. We just got to make the tackle, right? Things we talked about, just tackling, right, being sticky in coverage and making the plays when we needed to make.
So that was D'Amico Ryans, courtesy of the Houston Texans, following the 14-9 loss. Your take on what you heard from D'Amico?
Same thing we continue to hear.
Are you going to use your board to say typical?
Typical. This is what I would say to D'Amico. Okay. I mean, it's the same thing. You know, you hear about some of the positives. You hear about what the Texans did not execute. The point is that this is a trend. And in my opinion, this is more than just a loss. It is, because we're starting a new season. This is the moment, right, when things were supposed to come together in some way. We didn't see them come together in any way. It looked exactly the same with a different offensive coordinator, and a lot of what was supposed to be different
offensive line.
Different offensive line. It's the same root cause.
Yeah, I'm going to say that even though it's only week 1 and they're going to say, coaches talk, hey, there's a lot of football left to be played and whatnot, this was a big game. Dalton Schultz said it in the locker room earlier this week. It was a big game. And the reason why is because now going forward, everything that we're going to ask and everything that we're going to talk about, it's what we've talked about here this past 25, 30 minutes. And it's not going to go away.
And the past 25, 30 days.
And the past season, you know.
Yeah.
It's not going to go away until they make it go away.
Right.
So one thing that we've learned about D'Amico Ryans is that he's always going to give us coaches talk because he likes to keep everything very close chest, everything
Close to the
internal,
vest, yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's going to be cliche
Yeah.
responses every time. But yeah, now he said it this week when he talked about the offensive line. I'm tired of talking about it. Let's just go out there and play. Well, he's going to continue to be tired about talking about it. Because we're going to continue to ask questions regarding that offensive line.
Ricky is checking in. She calls it embarrassing. Embarrassing. If you just joined us, D'Amico Ryan's saying that CJ played pretty nice, managed the offensive well. He's proud of CJ. The Texans managing just 9 points, losing 14-9. Mario says the zone killed us on defense. I think the Rams were really able to soften up the Texans' defense with the threat of running, not just the running game, but also Matthew Stafford, who's not a great runner, not known as a runner, but he was given the impression just enough that he could roll out that it really softened up that Texans defense. Let's see. Anna says same excuse. Same excuse. And we are back right where
we left off.
Where we left off in 2024. In fact,
roll the tape back.
Many of these words I think probably
I remember
were used last year. All right. Well, the conversation will continue tonight on KHOU 11 Sports Extra. Zach will be there. Luis will be there. I will be there. Seth Payne from Sports Radio 610 will also be a part of the program. So again, we always thank all of you for joining us here on our various social media sites, including Facebook and YouTube, and of course on KHOU 11 Plus. For Zack Tawatari, Luis Ortiz, I'm Jason Bristol. Once again, the final as the Texans drop to 0-1. Houston 9, Rams 14. And Luis, do you have one last thing that you would like to say? There you go, everybody. We'll see you next time.